Hey everybody, welcome. Appreciate everyone coming out. Those of you who are watching via Zoom or YouTube, we have close to 30 people here. You can see about half of them or so. My name is Ed Katz. I'm the host, and I'm going to lead the discussion on Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And I'll start by addressing why the choice. Why? Okay. I run Katnip Marketing. I have for 17 years. I'm also a theater and film critic, and I've done reviews on radio, print, online, and on Katz Reviews on Facebook. So if you can, please follow there, and on YouTube as well. All right. So one thing I wanted to cover. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Got some noise outside. Someone's closing the door. So why did I choose Fast Times at Ridgemont High? Combination of a bunch of reasons. I thought, one, we needed a comedy after last couple were kind of heavy. Two, I had just seen Sean Penn in One Battle After Another, which I am positive he's going to get nominated for Best Supporting Actor. The walk he created in that movie is so distinctive, that alone should get him the nomination. It's amazing. You got to see this movie. And it reminded me, when we saw a comedy, I saw this movie was ending its run on Netflix at the end of this month, so we have till December 31st. If you choose to rewatch it, it's going to be gone after that. I don't know where it will. But it is considered one of the funniest movies of all time. It's on several lists of the top 100. Okay, we can talk about that. And I think it has parallels with American Graffiti, more so than I realized until I started delving into the similarities. And I'll cover that in part of the discussion. But there's a lot to it. There are some critics who raved about it, and a couple very notable ones who absolutely hated it. So I want to cover that too. So first, I want to ask you guys, how many of you liked the movie? Okay. How many did not? Wow. Actually, like one voted not. Yeah,
I supposedly voted twice. So
all right, so we actually have, it's more like almost a 60-40 split. People did not like it, which is interesting because it had a 78 from critics and an 80% from audiences. So you guys are off the median there. Okay. All right, so Rotten Tomatoes, the consensus was, while Fast Times at Ridgemont High features Sean Penn's legendary performance, the film endures because it accurately captured the small details of school, work, and teenage life. Maybe. Okay. So before we get into why you did or didn't like it, I want to go into a little exposition first, and then I'll solicit your opinions at that point. But so the director was Amy Heckerling. So this is kind of a raunchy comedy to be directed by a woman. Really? But the film kind of is from woman's perspective. I mean, to me, the primary character was really Stacy. I mean, it's an ensemble thing, but anyone want to argue that they don't think Stacy was the main character?
Well, there were two women.
Well, Phoebe Cates' Linda wasn't like the main character. She was definitely the supporting actress. Yeah.
She was definitely simpatico.
Yeah. Okay. But so anyone think Stacy was not like pretty much the main character? Jennifer Jason Leigh?
That's what that was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The cast, by the way, amazing. Again, like American Graffiti, it spawned so many careers. Yeah. So we'll cover that too. But so Amy Heckerling launched her feature film career with this movie after graduating from NYU and the American Film Institute. She followed this with her biggest box office success, Look Who's Talking, which earned almost $300 million back in 1989. She also did Clueless in 1995 and an adaptation of Jane Austen's Emma.
Probably didn't do that well.
She also did National Lampoon's European Vacation and A Night at the Roxbury and several other things. She's become an outspoken critic of Hollywood sexism, while maintaining her reputation as one of the few female directors with multiple box office hits. For this movie, she said in an interview that, and she didn't do a lot of interviews, but she did some. She said, they used index cards for the characters and the stories. And they were moving them around. And she said she would talk with Cameron Crowe, who was the writer, and I'll get to him in a second. And they would say, what's Brad been doing? We haven't had him in for a while. Okay, let's see what he's doing. And they would try to make it fair, like each character had their own little, so they wanted to go back to revisit them if it was too long without one. And Sean Penn's character, no surprise, was pretty much used for comic relief, especially after some of the heavier scenes. But okay, so Cameron Crowe, he became the youngest contributing writer for Rolling Stone magazine at the age of 16, using his music journalism experience to inform his filmmaking. His screenplay for Fast Times was based on his book about going undercover as a high school student at age 22. He made his directorial debut 7 years after this. This movie was 1982. In 1989, with Say Anything, with a great performance by John Cusack. If you didn't see it, in spite of John Cusack, who's anti-Israel, it's a really good movie. He also then earned multiple Oscars nominations for Jerry Maguire, which remains his biggest commercial success. And he did win the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay for Almost Famous.
Oh.
And that's a semi-autobiographical film about a teenage rock journalist in the 70s, if you remember, a teenage rock who's hanging out with a band, based on him as a teenager traveling with Led Zeppelin across America while he was a teenager.
I mentioned Led Zeppelin.
He also did singles, Vanilla Sky, Elizabethtown, We Bought a Zoo, and he helped adapt Almost Famous into a Broadway musical as well. Now, does anyone know who he was married to for a long time?
So I want to say the singer from Heart.
Close. The sister of the singer from Heart.
Okay.
Nancy
Nancy.
Wilson. Anne is the primary
Nancy
singer.
Wilson.
Yeah, Nancy Wilson, right. Did anyone see her in the movie?
She's a guitar player.
Did anyone see her in the movie?
I wouldn't know what she looks like.
Okay, so Ann Wilson was the blonde, well, the brunette singer. Nancy Wilson was the blonde guitar player, the two sisters, the Wilson sisters from Heart. Okay, in the movie, there's a scene where Judge Reinhold is in his uniform, the captain is delivering.
Right.
She's the woman in the car who laughs at him and he throws out his. Now, they weren't married yet. That was 4 years later. They had just started dating, but he cast her as that. That's. Remember, I said there's parallels to American Graffiti. You remember the mysterious girl in the car in American Graffiti?
Suzanne Summers.
Suzanne Summers. Very good. Yes. So that was a kind of little cameo, and that was an homage to American Graffiti with that scene. All right, I'll get to more of that too. Okay, so Jennifer Jason Leigh made her breakthrough as the lead in this movie, and it started her career. She earned critical acclaim in the 90s for playing two very different prostitutes in Miami Blues and Last Exit to Brooklyn. She won a Best Supporting Actress from the New York Film Circle. She's also was a star in Single White Female and Robert Altman's Shortcut. She got a Golden Globe nomination for playing Dorothy Parker in Mrs. Parker and the Vicious Circle. And she was also in Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight, where she earned her first Oscar nomination. And she was in the Netflix series Atypical. Anyone see that?
That's what I remember.
She was very good in that.
She was the mother. I mean,
The mother, yes.
It's so interesting to watch the teenager go to the mother.
Then she becomes the mother, exactly. She was also in Annihilation, the film, in the 5th season of Fargo TV show.
She also did Broadway.
Yes, she did a lot of
I
stuff.
think I just saw her in another Netflix show. Was it The Beast in Me?
No.
No, I don't think she was. I saw that. I don't think she was.
She wasn't a main character,
Oh, okay.
but I just saw her in something else.
All right, Sean Penn. So his actual debut was in Taps, but he had a small role there. That was the year before. He established himself as a serious dramatic actor in Bad Boys the year after. He did At Close Range, Casualties of War, earned his first Oscar nomination for Dead Man Walking. He won the Academy Award for Best Actor twice, Mystic River, and then also for playing gay rights activist Harvey Milk in Milk. And he's directed several films, including The Indian Runner, The Crossing Guard, The Pledge, Into the Wild, and okay.
He was the dude.
He was the dude. He also
Before the
did
dude-
some
before the
ad
dude.
libbing. He did
He's
some
the
ad
dude
libbing.
before the dude.
Yes. And trivia note. I wanted to get to the trivia. There's so much. I have like 8 pages of trivia notes, but there's one I want to cover. Remember the shoes he wore in this movie? Checkerboard Vans.
Yeah.
That launched the brand Van. This movie, and they had no idea what hit them
Oh, my God.
when the movie came out. Yes.
The other day, I was getting my teeth cleaned, and a younger person walked in, and he had those sneakers on. And when I saw them in the movie, I said, my God, they're still.
Oh yeah. When I go to a Cheap Trick concert, so many people are wearing checkerboard Vans. There you go. All right, so now Judge Reinhold. Okay, you guys remember what he became really famous for after this? Beverly Hills Cop, exactly. He was also in Stripes before this, but not a huge part. Playing Detective Billy Rosewood in Beverly Hills Cop, all 3 of the movies, he did very well with that. He was also in the Santa Claus franchise, Disney's Santa Claus, as Dr. Miller, and yeah, he did Vice Versa, which was a big failure. And then he acknowledged he had a reputation. He developed a reputation for being difficult on the set. He received an Emmy nomination for playing the close talker on Seinfeld. And he wasn't the only one in this movie who was on Seinfeld. Somebody else was too. All right. Now, Forrest Whitaker. Remember Forrest Whitaker?
Look, this thing.
Pretty big jump from that to what was the big
He
name?
played Idi Amin,
Yeah.
but he was in a lot of stuff. So, and also Charlie Parker.
The Crying
Right, yes.
That's what played.
He was also in Platoon, Good Morning Vietnam, Hope Floats, First Daughter, The Last King of Scotland. I'm not seeing that. The Butler, Rogue One, Black Panther, Crying Game Phenomenon. Anyway, so he's done a lot, but he really was a college football player. So there you go. And he had turned to studying opera and drama. And okay. Now, Phoebe Cates, she started her career as a teen model on the cover of 17 4 times before making her debut in Paradise right before this, because they both came out the same year. She co-starred in Gremlins, which became the highest grossing film of her career, and Gremlins 2. She was also in Private School, Bright Lights, Big City, Drop Dead Fred, Princess Caribou. Now, you remember how she talked in this movie about she had a preference for older men, even though the guy she was supposedly dating, her fiance, was fictitious? She married Kevin Kline, many years older than her. And she retired from acting in 1994 to raise their 2 children, though she briefly returned in 2001 for the anniversary party as a favor to her friend, Jennifer Jason Leigh. She opened a boutique in New York called Blue Tree on the New York's Upper East Side, where she continues to work while maintaining a private life with her family. Now, Eric Stoltz, anyone remember him?
Yeah.
Yes, Steve.
So she was 17 when they filmed this movie. So I just want you to think about that. That they did full frontal.
No. I think she was 19 in this movie because she was just a little bit older than Jennifer Jason Leigh, and she was 19 in this movie. Remember how she said, "No, I'm 19. I'm 19." She was lying,
There you go, 17 now.
but she really was 19. Just look young.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. All right, we'll get into that too. But all right, so Eric Stoltz. Anyone remember Eric
Oh, my
Stoltz?
God. Yeah, he was great. He was just a director.
Right, but you remember him in this movie?
Yeah.
Not a huge part, but he was Sean Penn's redheaded stoner buddy.
Oh, who was the other son of it? I know that.
Say it, bro.
Anthony Edwards.
That's right, Anthony Edwards is the other stoner buddy. Yep. Great. So all right, so Stoltz earned a Golden Globe nomination as Rocky Dennis in Mask 3 years after this. He also appeared in John Hughes' Some Kind of Wonderful. He was famously cast as Marty McFly in Back to the Future, but was replaced by Michael J. Fox because the director, Robert Zemeckis, felt his more serious approach didn't match the film's comedic tone. He received a Tony nomination on Broadway in Our Town, and in 1990 he appeared in Pulp Fiction and The Water Dance. He's become a prolific television director, directing 12 episodes of Glee, serving as an executive producer and director on Madam Secretary, alongside Morgan Freeman and Barbara Hall. Okay, now some of the minor characters who had some interesting things happen. Okay, you remember Ratner?
Yeah.
Okay, Brian Backer. Kind of never really saw much of him after this, right? But before this, he had won a Tony Award and a Drama Desk Award on Broadway for Woody Allen's The Floating Light Bulb. I'm not familiar with it, but 1981 he did. So he came to Fast Times as an acclaimed theater actor. He stayed mostly on television. He had a recurring role in the TV series Fame and guest starring roles on MacIver, Facts of Life, 21 Jump Street, and other shows. He took an 8-year hiatus and then reunited with director Amy Heckerling for the comedy Vamps, and then largely retired from acting. Now, Damone, Robert Romanus. I didn't realize this. He grew up in West Hartford, moved to Fort Lauderdale, and moved to LA to play drums. He also was Natalie Green's boyfriend Snake on The Facts of Life. And he also had a recurring role in Days of Our Lives for a while. And he was in the TV series Fame. He hasn't done much since, but he still has a band. I saw an interview with him that was taped earlier this year. It's called Papa's Kitchen. And he's developed a program called Teaching Through Film to teach kids and also nurses through the lens of a video camera. And that's what he's been doing for most of his career. One smaller part, Amanda, and I'm not sure how you pronounce her last name, Weiss or Weiss, W-Y-S-S. She played Lisa, Brad's girlfriend. Remember at the fast food place? We've been dating for 2 years. She became the famous Scream Queen in A Nightmare on Elm Street. She was Freddy Krueger's first victim. She also got a Best Young Artist Award for her work in an after-school special called She Drinks a Little. And she was on stage with Eva Marie Saint in The Country Girl. She also was in Highlander, the series, and played in Cheers, 2 episodes with Woody as his ex-girlfriend Beth. And she has worked steadily in independent films and horror conventions, embracing her Scream Queen status. Now, Mr. Vargas, Vincent Fiavelli. Okay, he's the biology teacher. Recognized instantly as the sad-faced actor. He was diagnosed with Marfan syndrome in childhood. Anyone remember One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Oh, yes.
He was in that, right?
Oh, we did that movie.
Yes, we did, right? He was in Amadeus, playing Salieri's valet. He was in The People versus Larry Flint. And it said his most famous role came as the subway ghost in Ghost. With Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
We'll get to him in a second. Ray Walston, yes. So aside from his acting, he's been the author of 3 cookbooks and received the James Beard Journalism Award in 2001.
Wow.
Unfortunately, he died in 2005 of lung cancer. Okay, and then of course, Ray Walston, Mr. Hand,
Yes.
famous as being my favorite Martian.
Yes.
And he was so pleased after this movie came out to be recognized by kids in the street yelling, Mr. Hand, because they all thought of him as Martin the Martian. Okay. All right. Anyone have any thoughts you want to say at this point so far?
I know why you're a winner at trivia.
Yes.
Just like to tell you that I found the movie to be very sad because it was an accurate portrayal of high school students, and it was also an accurate portrayal of how young ladies have fall to peer pressure,
Right.
and how inappropriate it was. And I like the statement she made at the end where she said, she didn't say it outright, but one of the characters said, I guess we shouldn't be doing this. We should just wait until we find the right person. And I thought, thank God,
That's
I don't
why I
think that
didn't
any
think it was
teenagers
funny.
really understood that, but I do.
Because
I do know it's an accurate depiction. I can tell you that when I was a teacher, I did have to answer a policeman's inquiry because he was interviewing me in regard to statutory rape. So some of these kids do get caught and they do face things.
Can we go back to what you said about why, you're gonna talk about why you chose this?
Yes.
I think that's because I think everyone wants to know that.
Yes.
Ed, you want me to read the note you sent?
Sure, go ahead. I don't remember exactly what I said, but yeah,
No.
because David asked, like,
Oh, yeah,
I
right.
emailed it to him. I don't remember what I said, but yeah, I mean, again, I thought it's very worthwhile discussing it because it is a quote rowdy sex comedy, unquote, but it was directed by a woman, so it's got a woman's perspective to it. And I think, like you just said, it really accurately shows the confusion, frustration, difficulties of being a teenager, and yet it's still funny. They made it funny in spite of it.
The only person who was and like Ronnie said, I found it so sad that these girls were succumbing to peer pressure, regarding having sex.
Okay, but is that unrealistic?
I don't think it's funny. That's what I'm saying.
Well, those parts
It's
weren't funny.
realistic.
Right, but even just if you watch the very opening scene, they're still rolling the credits. There's like 6 sight gags happening while they're rolling the opening credits.
Yeah, but
Arnold crashes into a locker that a girl opens right in his face. Ratner's trying to get something out of his locker and there's gum there.
right.
There's all these things happening.
But that's like bullying, like
David.
what they did to
All right,
Ratner.
I anticipated this package.
Really, Dave?
Go ahead, Nick. Sorry, David is off camera.
Okay. You gotta put this in perspective. Someone my age who lived through this time. It was the best time of my life. Now, I'm just gonna make it
82.
every year, okay, from 1977 on. It was Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein. Animal House was 78. That's the ultimate great movie, okay? Airplane was in 1980. History of the World was 81. Caddyshack was 81. Vacation was 83. Fast Times was 82. Yeah, you gotta understand. So every year they came up with the raunchy comedy, which, calm down, people, they couldn't make today because people would get all offended by it and everything else. But at the time, these were great movies. Every movie I mentioned, I could play golf and I can mention lines from these movies. Everyone knows lines.
right.
I can tell you 10 lines from Fast Times that everyone knows. I texted someone today who knew every character in that movie. It was 57. So it was a big deal for us at the time. It was a great Animal House and this was like a great.
Well, Because it reminded us, if you're
How
a
about
certain
you?
age group, it reminded us of our high school years.
Right.
I mean, that really is what went on in high school.
And it's, like it or not, this is what high school is.
When I
Right.
was in the 70s, in the 70s,
so I just.
in the
Right.
70s,
Yes,
there was a light.
One second. Yes, ma'am.
So when my daughter happened to have called me while I was watching the movie, and I said to her, I'm watching this movie. And she said, "You're watching that?" Yeah, my day, yours. And unfortunately, what I couldn't find funny about it is because, yes, I mean, Sean Penn, I did not find funny. I felt a bit sad. I was angry. I was being a teacher who was seeing a kid like that. And I guess I missed it. I guess I'm too old. But I like Blazing Saddles and I like the other ones.
Right.
I found those very different.
Those were really funny.
All right, well, one second. I do want to point out another parallel. So when David, you mentioned Animal House. Right.
Yeah.
Animal House came out a few years before, like 3-4 years? Okay.
78.
78. So that was also released by Universal Pictures. The executives at Universal Pictures, when they saw it before it was released, they wanted to squash the movie. This is Animal House.
Yeah.
Because they thought it was too raunchy and they didn't think audiences were going to go for it. It's an R-rated comedy. The people it's made for are too young to get in. It's not going to succeed. Huge hit. Same studio had the same reaction to this movie They said, we should kill this movie. They said, all right, we'll try it. We'll do a test. Because the executives were squirming like crazy. They hated it. And they said, let's just do a few releases in just California a little bit. We won't open it to the East Coast, which is the bigger market. They said they'll try it. The test audiences were through the roof. Then they released it wide. Then it became a hit. But yes, Lori?
What I was gonna say about Spicoli,
Yes.
when I was in high school, there were many greasers, was the word at the time. And there were many burnouts.
Yeah.
And it was just the fact that they were there. There was many lovable, I think he was supposed to be a lovable burnout. I remember a particular burnout that I really liked. He was hysterically funny and it was just like this. And I think what showed at the end with Mr. Hand is that he did have a brain.
Yes.
And he wasn't dumb. And it kind of, to me, when he gets older, he'll probably grow out of that and become something. That's what I took, because there were many burnouts in my high school.
And I think the ending of his story arc shows some hope, right? As you see, he wasn't a complete idiot. He really wasn't. And there's that element to almost all the characters.
Yeah.
At the end, there actually is a bit of hope for all of them. You see positives, like Stacy learns that her friend Linda is a liar. And she realizes maybe I should have a romance first.
Storytelling.
Right. Well, he was a liar.
Liar.
Yes, Ann.
She made up the whole thing.
She made up the whole relationship. Yes, Ann.
I guess I saw this somewhat as the age of innocence because it took place in 1981. The AIDS epidemic came out in 1982. The AIDS epidemic started in 1981. And I didn't realize, I was trying to think of when that's, the timing of all that. But a movie like this never would have happened at the height of the AIDS epidemic because it's so irresponsible. And I kept thinking about that the whole time. And I think that very much, I didn't like the film, but I thought that really colored my feelings about this.
Okay, all right. I wanna read my notes and then I want to get into the critics who loved it and hated it and talk about what they said, and I think you'll get some insights on that too. So my notes were, the film starts with the Go-Go's "We Got the Beat." Sight gags galore, including girls dressed like Pat Benatar. Mike Damone, you see him trying to look cool. He's got the little button. He's got the check in his collar. And we see he's a ticket scalper. Phoebe Cates is mentoring Stacy. Bless you. The parallel is with Damone mentoring Ratner. There's big parallel set up with that. Tom Petty's American Girl comes on, and we see Stacy as a lost freshman in high school. There's more sight gags with Ratner, the messy locker, the gum, Arnold crashing into an open locker. You see Frederick Forrest as the giant football player. The stoners fall out of a van with smoke. Mr. Hand locks the classroom door, grabs the cigarette from a kid, and smells it to be sure it's tobacco and not marijuana. Spicoli is at the door, and one kid says to Stacy, he's been stoned since the 3rd grade. Mr. Hand passes out papers to the kids, and what do all the kids do at the same time? Sniffing from the video machine, right? Okay. Just those are little throwaway sight gags they did. So Damone mentoring Ratner is like Linda does for Stacy, but on a more rudimentary level. He talks about the attitude. Stacy sneaks out. She's waiting to get picked up by Ron Johnson, who, by the way, the actor who played him, D.A. Brown, he was only 6 months older than Jennifer Jason Leigh. He looked much older, but he's only 6 months older. So as he's going to pick her up, now there was a lot of graffiti, again, another reference to American Graffiti in the movie, in the background of so many scenes. When Stacy's waiting to get picked up by him, there is a sign in the background, spray painted, says "Wasted Youth." Okay, I don't know if you saw it, but it's there. Pretty big letters, actually. Meanwhile, Jackson Brown's "Somebody's Baby" plays. So she loses her virginity in the dugout at the point, looking at a light bulb and spray painted disco socks. Okay, just to make it real gritty. So it's not romantic. She's heckling the director, is showing this is not romantic. Let's see. Brad's girlfriend Lisa is at the All-American Burger, and they've been dating for 2 years but have not had sex. Brad isn't particularly happy about this. It turns into Christmas at the mall. We see a mall Santa getting peed on by a kid who is crying, and then the Santa curses trying to get food. Again, they're showing the gritty side. When Ron Johnson doesn't call Stacy, Linda starts denigrating him like he's the worst thing ever, even though she'd been pumping him up before. Spicoli has his surfing fantasy, which, by the way, was filmed after the movie was over, because they realized the producer, Irving Azoff, who went on to manage the Eagles and other things. Anyway, he and Amy Heckerling said, this Sean Penn is too good. We got to give him more to do. So they wrote that scene for him. Meanwhile, outside Licorice Pizza, Damone is explaining his 5-point plan on dating women. Do you remember that? That was a real thing that happened that Cameron Crowe overheard. And he said as soon as he heard it, he ran into the bathroom with a napkin and had to write it all down because he didn't want to forget it. And he's talking to a life-size cutout of Debbie Harry. All right. He closes his 5-point plan by saying, whenever possible, play Led Zeppelin 4. Okay, right? Now, so then the cut to the scene of Ratner in the car with Stacy, and what's playing on the radio?
Cashmere.
It's gonna know it, okay.
Cashmere, but it's not from Led Zeppelin 4, it's from Physical Graffiti.
Yeah.
Now, is that because Ratner's so clueless, he just didn't know which was the right album?
Right.
Actually, the real reason is because they couldn't get the rights to Led Zeppelin 4, so they got as close as they could. It was Physical Graffiti. Okay. But you can interpret it that the other way. All right, there you go.
Good job.
Okay. So now on their date, Ratner and Stacy are in the German restaurant. Do you remember how huge the chairs were?
Yeah.
And they look like little kids playing grown-ups. Okay, that just kind of continues that metaphor. And meanwhile, the song is playing is "Love Rules," Don Henley's "Love Rules." Little play on words there. Let's see. Oh, and then when they go back to Stacy's place and they're starting to make out, Ratner has to move one of Stacy's dolls because it was in the way. Again, grown-up kids playing grown-ups. Okay. Let's see. Oh, now, did you notice there was like practically no adult supervision anywhere? That was the focus, was to be on the kids. Again, trying to be the grown-ups themselves. There was a brief scene with Stacy and Brad's mom, but she's only in to leave real quick. And she checks on Stacy, says goodnight to her. She's out of the movie, and Stacy sneaks out. Right. Now, again, Spicoli shows he's not a complete idiot after he totals Jefferson's car. He disguises it to look like Lincoln High School did it. So then you get which I thought was hysterical, the kids wearing "Kill Lincoln." And if you saw the little buttons Spicoli was wearing, "Assassinate Lincoln." I mean, come on, it's funny. I'm sorry if you don't think it's funny. All right, I thought it was funny. All right. So we have 2 American presidential references because the kid was named Jefferson. They're playing Lincoln High, and there's graffiti all over the movie. It's another tie to American graffiti. It's making it real easy to put the parallels there. And even at the end of the movie, they had the end credits, which gives you a little caption on what each character had happened.
Right.
Same as American graffiti. It was more serious with American graffiti. Okay. Okay. Oh, and here, none of the kids talk about where they're going to college. You notice that?
Yeah.
It's kind of spooky, actually. Because American graffiti, that was like a big part of the movie.
But it's just all about this time in their lives.
Right.
1 year.
Yep. Okay.
And part of it is the mall thing. So the mall was the
Yes.
center of our universe when we were young. I mean, that's where you
Right.
go.
And that's the opening of the movie.
And they're all up at the mall.
The opening of the movie is Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but the first scene is in the mall.
The mall is like a big deal.
Right.
He brings up a fascinating to me. There is a huge generation gap.
Yeah.
It's fascinating
Yeah.
because all of these things that all of you have been talking about, even all of the songs, everything, that was after some of us. It was amazing how there's 2 but they're still boomers.
Right.
They're still.
Well, like I said, there's parallels with American graffiti,
Yes.
which was set 20 years
Which
earlier.
was the earlier boomers.
Art, in your day, do the women want to lose their, young girls want to lose their virginity?
Oh, yeah, my dreams. That was us, David. It's us, David. You guys really don't believe?
She didn't want to lose her virginity. She wanted to fit in. That was really
Yeah.
good. She had an older friend. She had an older friend, and she wanted to be like her friend. Her friend had an older boyfriend. That was it. It wasn't really about losing her virginity.
I don't know
Like
how
you
I
said,
did that.
she literally was having sex, and she's like,
Yeah.
bored to tears. She's looking at her like.
Because she was with the wrong guy.
Oh.
Okay, one second, guys. Hold on.
77.
I graduated in '86. That was my era.
Oh,
I was 14 years old, 15 years old when that movie came
Yeah,
out.
it's like
So-
All right, one second. Duffy, go ahead.
The reason I said when we were looking at which movie, let's do Fast Times at Ridgemont High as juxtaposed to adolescence.
Yeah.
Okay, so the teenage,
Adolescence is
the 40 years apart,
Oh,
yeah, 40 years apart. And as we're watching this movie, I was raised as a teenager in the 60s. And you held on to your virginity for dear life.
Yeah,
You were labeled.
yeah.
So it was petting, it was necking, petting, going all the way. And it was very strict and very much of a double standard, and you didn't want to be labeled. So in the 80s, after the Vietnam War, the norms against premarital sex had just collapsed. And it was really shocking for me, actually, to see the social pressure pro-sex for girls. They really were girls. We can call them girls at that time, high school girls. And then to see 40 years later, adolescence, where the way kids are introduced to sex is through porn, and the ugliness of how the kids are experiencing sex today. From my experience, the 60s, the 80s, and then the 20s. Just upsetting and shocking, everything.
Yes, Lori.
When I was in high school, you had the group of girls that, as my mother said, put out.
Put out.
Okay. You had the good girls. I was amongst that group.
That's not what's sitting on the bathroom wall, though.
But there was that group, the cheerleaders in my school where, that were very sexually active, and you had the group of the good girls. They were both. They were both.
They were called nice girls, the ones
Nice
that put
girls.
out.
What
Yeah.
year is that?
Really?
Yeah.
What years?
In the 70s.
In the I was in high school, I graduated in 78. So, yeah, I mean, there was some pregnancies in my,
But you guys really don't believe people were having sex in 1950?
Yeah.
Oh, they had
In my, yeah. In our dream.
It went wild. It went-
70s are wild.
because you were like
Because you were like, right.
They were a nerd, but
All right.
they were nerds.
Okay, I wanna get back to, there's a review. There are 3 reviews I wanna read quotes from. So this one is by Cole Smithy, who calls himself the smartest film critic in the world. He's obviously the most modest too. So he says, Fast Times at Ridgemont High is a remarkable outlier in the teen movie genre, even if tone-deaf critics like Roger Ebert panned the film upon its release. Screenwriter Cameron Crowe adapted the script from his popular novel. About a year he spent undercover posing as a senior at Claremont High in San Diego. His keen observations of early 80s teen culture provided Amy Heckerling with a treasure trove of culture identifiers to apply to the era's iconographic teen archetypes. The film straight ahead, as the title suggests, times are moving faster than the teens can reasonably handle. Still, they put up a strong front. The film's straight ahead approach to teen sexuality is one of its greatest strengths. Stacy's only 15, but feels pressured to lose her virginity and master oral sex. Her sexual encounters with a 26-year-old stud and with Damone are less than romantic. Stacy's subsequent pregnancy incites a crisis decision that meets with an anticlimactic resolution squarely in keeping with the reality of the times in which the story is set. Informed by the similarly aged Heckerling's and Crowe's simpatico sensibilities toward their slightly younger generation, Fast Times cleverly employs drama and comedy in equal parts. Sean Penn's brilliantly crafted stoner surfer character, Spicoli, provides comic relief with an attitude and vocabulary shamelessly and unconsciously self-reflexive. Spicoli's pure superego and id. As such, he gives the movie its most illustrious anti-hero, a guy who looks out at the raging surf and says to the waves, "Hey, bud, let's party." Even James Dean never enjoyed such a gloriously punk moment of expression. He gave it 5 stars out of 5. All right, now, Roger Ebert totally panned this movie, and I want to read that before I read the other good review, because he's a hypocrite, and I will tell you why. He starts out, he gave it 1 star out of 4. He published the review January 1st, 1982. How could they do this to Jennifer Jason Leigh? How could they put such a fresh and cheerful person into such a scuzz pit of a movie? Don't they know they have a star on their hands? I didn't even know who Leigh was when I walked into Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and yet I was completely won over by her. She contained so much life and light that she was a joy to behold. And then she and everybody else in this so-called comedy is invited to plunge into offensive vulgarity. Let me make myself clear, I am not against vulgarity as a subject for a movie comedy. Sometimes I treasure it when it's used with inspiration, as in The Producers or National Lampoon's Animal House. The movie's cast struggles valiantly through all this dreck. Rarely have I seen so many attractive young performers invited to appear in so many unattractive scenes. He talks about Jennifer Leigh's losing her virginity. Whatever happened to upbeat sex? Whatever happened to love and lust and romance and scenes where good-looking kids had a little joy and excitement in life instead of all this grungy, downbeat humiliation? Well, sorry, Roger, it's kind of reality. Now, this is the same Roger Ebert who years earlier wrote Beyond the Valley of the Dolls and Russ Meyer's Up, a sexploitation movie. Okay? Now, he doesn't, he didn't generally talk about that, but Philadelphia Magazine, April 2013, noted this as one of 13 instances a major critic got a film review, quote, so completely wrong. It's in the company. Here's the other 12 movies he talked about in this review. Rocky, Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, A Space Odyssey, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Pulp Fiction, Apocalypse Now, Groundhog Day, Psycho, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Matrix, The Wizard of Oz, and Chinatown. All had major critics pan them, and he's saying they all got it wrong. And he put this movie right up there with all of those. Okay? So now, Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, here's the IMDb description of it, which he wrote. An all-girl rock band moves to Hollywood in the hopes of achieving success, only to be lured by an eccentric music producer and his entourage into a whirlpool of wickedness and decadence. Now, one reviewer said, with so-and-so leading them, the 4 girls get caught up in the excesses that are often associated with Hollywood and rock and roll, namely sex and drugs, all 4 for different reasons and with different temptations. The questions become if any of the 4 can emerge out on the other side from those excesses, and if so, in what state? Okay, so that's the same Roger Ebert. Now, I want to read, so that's why I think he's kind of a hypocrite.
Are we going to do Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
We could. That was a good one.
Animal.
I just want to say another huge difference when you talk about the malls, the shopping malls, that's what we call third places. And today's kids don't have third places. They're so isolated. They're so private. There are no gatherings, places to gather, which is incredibly sad. There's no community.
Okay, so A.O. Scott called it a critic's pick in the New York Times. Now, he wrote this about 15 years ago, so well after the movie's been out, but also after time to appreciate it. Notably, Vincent Canby, who was the critic of the New York Times in '82 when the movie came out, declined to review it because he thought it was too vulgar. Right? Again, different time. But A.O. Scott said, a lot of movies about high school, about the jocks, the cheerleaders, the nerds, the stoners. One of my favorites is a movie that came out in my own high school days in 1982, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, based on Cameron Crowe's reportage for Rolling Stone, where he went undercover in an American high school. It's often a very funny movie. It captures, as well as any movie I can think of, the deep absurdity and ridiculousness of life in high school. But this movie also takes a refreshingly honest and candid look at some of the more uncomfortable aspects of teenage life, in particular adolescent sexuality. There are some scenes that really captured the awkwardness, the discomfort, the not knowing quite what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, whether you're supposed to want it, and how you're supposed to do it. It manages to be funny and lighthearted and insightful, but also to push some of its characters into some very uncomfortable and difficult places. In particular, Stacey Hamilton, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, who shows herself in this movie to be such a phenomenal actress. This is really a great performance. Well, she was a meek, this is a young girl, sort of pushed by her older friend, played by Phoebe Curtis, into precocious sexuality that she might not quite be ready for. So she loses her virginity to an older guy who works at the mall, and then she has a brief encounter with a guy she doesn't particularly like. Other movies might have dealt with this kind of stuff in a sleazy or salacious or moralistic kind of way, turning Stacey's story into the cautionary tale of a girl gone wrong. Instead, what happens is this. The guy who got her pregnant doesn't show up to take her to the clinic. Now, I'm not going to defend Damone, but he did try to raise the money. You saw him. He just wasn't a complete jerk. And in an interview I saw with him, with Robert Romanus, he said, he was asked how did he come to define and how to play the character? What was his take on it? He said, he's not a bad guy. He can be kind of an asshole, but he's not a bad guy. He makes bad decisions. Okay, so that was his answer. Anyway, Stacey's brother, played by Judge Reinhold, comes to pick her up, and the two of them have a moment that is so exquisitely understated. It shows what wonderful actors these two are, and what a really wonderful, smart, sensitive movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High is. That's what I want. Yes.
You know, I want to say that as we talked about a lot, there is a huge generation gap there. And I mean, it's amazing. There's almost a cutoff line. People born maybe before 1956 or something like that, and then after that. And most of the older group, like I am part of, we didn't know a lot of this music. I mean, it was part of it, but we were already in college. We were already having lives, and some of us had gone to war, some having babies and stuff. So none of that. But I wanted to see this movie. I was happy. I voted for this movie.
Yes, you did.
Because I wanted to see what I didn't know about, that I had missed. I was already in college or whatever. What did I miss? Was it good? But I mean, you didn't know about how bad the 70s were. Everyone thinks it was great. But, I didn't know about the 80s and 90s. So that's what I'm even hearing too. You know, we could break by age. We could probably say who liked it and who didn't like it. Like it's probably a 1958 or something like that.
Probably 1960.
All right. Well, so there was another scene that paralleled American Graffiti. Do you remember the cruising scenes in American Graffiti?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Which did eventually end up with a car accident, right? Because they did a drag race thing. Okay. Right. Which was an homage to James Dean, right? Of course. But this movie had a cruising scene which ended in a car accident. There's another parallel. So cruising the strip. So there were so many parallels. I forgot to mention that one. Okay, there's some really funny and fun and sad trivia. Yes.
I say to anyone my age, my dad's got a really great toolbox. Don't know exactly what. It's a quote from the movie. That's
the
a car accident.
The car accident, yes.
Don't worry about it.
I can fix this. Yeah. All right.
I used to go cruising. And I was I used to ride around in the car, roll down the windows.
All right. So do you remember in the movie? This is some of the trivia. There was like 200 entries of trivia, and most of them were really good. But I tried picking a dozen or so. Mr. Vargas's wife in the high school dance scene, the really pretty girl.
Right.
She was actually going to be an extra. They cast her as an extra in the high school because she's the same age as all the other kids. But he, the actor, played Mr. Vargas, said he thought it should be a really pretty girl for comedy effect. And they were like,
he was so attractive.
And he got to pick her out. Now, she was actually younger than Jennifer Jason Leigh. The sad thing was the actress Lana Clarkson ended up being murdered by music producer Phil Spector in 2003. Yeah. Okay, so she played Mr. Vargas's wife at the dance. So the first time director Amy Heckerling said she was seeking to make a comedy less structured than conventional ones, more like American Graffiti, so that if you woke up and found yourself living in the movie, you'd be happy. I wanted that kind of feel. Brian Backer, who played Rat, he said, according to him, Jennifer Jason Leigh and her family allowed him to stay at their house for no charge till filming wrapped because being that he flew down to star in the film from Brooklyn and he was pretty broke. Okay. Ray Walston I talked about. The mall scenes were shot after the mall closed at 9:30 until it opened at 9 in the morning.
Was Becker in Dirty Dancing?
It didn't say that. I didn't see him. Okay.
What I thought was the funniest part of the entire movie was when the Sean Penn character ordered pizza to be ordered.
Glad you mentioned it.
So I couldn't believe it. The last thing, I was shocked. I mean, I forgot something. Such a thing. And the pizza guy delivered. He took it seriously, brought it into the time.
And he announced it like a normal, who ordered the?
Okay. Now, you know who that actor was?
Taylor Negron. And in the cast, it said as himself. I don't know why.
No, it's like Mr. Pizza Guy. It said Mr. Pizza Guy.
I thought it said.
I saw it. No.
It did say as
himself. He was an actor and he actually.
And a stand-up comic.
He has actually passed away.
I knew him. I met him.
Oh, really?
In Soho.
Yeah.
Doing comedy.
Oh.
Actually, it was the Village. He was in the Village. He was doing comedy. And I got introduced to him by a woman who I was talking about working on a project with. And she said, I want you to meet Taylor. I saw him do his comedy and we talked for like 20 minutes. He was really, really nice and funny. Anyway, he ended up in Young Doctors in Love, Rodney Dangerfield's Easy Money, Johnny Dangerously, Bad Medicine, River's Edge with Sean Penn, The Last Boy Scout, Angels in the Outfield, and he was also in Seinfeld.
So I met Judge Reinhold.
Oh, wow, okay.
I worked in the mall. I was a teenager and I worked at Champ Sporting Goods.
Where was that?
Town Center, Boca.
In Boca. Wow. Very cool. All right, very cool.
I don't remember what he bought.
What size?
All right, so this was Forrest Whitaker's first time auditioning for a film.
And I just want to make something up. Just thinking of the sex scenes that you're saying where the girls came off very poorly. If you really look at it, the guys in those scenes were just as uncomfortable, more uncomfortable, and awkward and everything else than the girls at that time. So it was awkward for both.
Yeah, there were several posters, if you saw, of Elvis Costello.
Yeah.
He had a song called The Mystery Dance, which is all about not knowing what to do to have sex.
Yeah.
That's what the whole song is about.
Yeah. So the guys really weren't taking advantage of the women in this movie. Like, they were, she was actually coming on to them because she wanted to see what it was all about or, whatever, and they were uncomfortable with it.
Yep.
So it's showing that both sides were equally as
So there is no real lesson to learn. Nobody has a class in it. So
right.
They should have that, no?
They do have it. Before Thursday.
Now, so the character of Stacy working at Perry's Pizza, Jennifer Jason Leigh actually worked at Perry's Pizza for a month after she got the role before filming began because she needed the money. But she needed the money. Yeah. Nicolas Cage appears under the name Nicholas Coppola for the first and only time until 2022 when he was in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Nicolas Cage's first paid role. Forrest Whitaker's first time auditioning for a film. And Amy Heckerling said that after he got the job, she watched out the window and she said he was skipping to his car. Jennifer Jason Leigh's father. Anyone know who that was? Vic? No, in real life, Vic Morrow.
Oh, really?
He died in a helicopter accident on the set of Twilight Zone, the movie, 3 weeks before this movie was released.
Oh,
What was the TV show they wanted?
It was the movie Twilight Zone.
No, but the TV
Oh,
show.
Combat.
Combat.
Yeah.
What a great show.
Yes. So Sean Penn improvised during his takes and tried to find ways to aggravate Ray Walston, even off camera. He also did things to genuinely get startled reactions from the extras who played his classmates. Now, Nicolas Cage was originally considered for the role of Brad Hamilton, but the studio thought his performance was too dark. He was 17 at the time and could not work as many hours as 18-year-olds, and Reinhold was a little older. And he lied about his age, but they ended up finding out. Amy Heckerlin said, I was trying to make sex seem scary and uncomfortable.
We did.
As with the carrot scene, they weren't aiming to make a salacious teenager.
That was amazing.
Mr. Vargas, the character of Mr. Vargas, the teacher, was based on a real Claremont High biology teacher, George Jones, who kept many animals in class, rattlesnakes, beehives, and bats, and would regularly take students on strange field trips, such as visit the San Diego sewage treatment plant or to watch surgery on pigs.
Oh, Lord. I mean,
True.
Lord.
So that's where that came from. Again, these were real. So included.
That was a great scene too when he asked Spicoli if he's in his class. He's like, I am
today. Great line. This was included in the American Film Institute's list of the top 100 funniest American movies. Justine Bateman was offered the role of Linda, the Phoebe Cates part, but declined because she had just been offered Family Ties. The student that Cameron Crowe based the character Mark Ratner on was a guy named Andy Rathbone, R-A-T-H Bone. He became famous in his own right for writing many of the For Dummies book series. Sean Penn was asked to read for the part of Brad Hamilton as well as that of Spicoli. Now, you know who was originally offered the part for Mr. Han? Fred Gwynn. Remember the monster?
Yes. Wow.
He turned it down because of his objections over the tone of the sexual content.
Going to go some way with his name. I thought there was going to be some kind of joke about that.
Yeah,
But
right.
it never did.
No.
Right.
It was
always out
there. Now, there's a scene where Brad is washing the cruising vessel. He's wearing he has a Bruce Springsteen bumper sticker. Pamela Springsteen, Bruce's sister, was in the movie. Sean Penn asked her out. She played Dina the cheerleader, and she accepted.
I remember seeing the name, and I wondered if it was
Bruce
So many
Springsteen's
credits.
sister.
Yeah. Because there were so many great credits. Who was that? Oh, I remember.
Right.
Yeah. I actually paused it for a while so I could actually look.
Yeah.
This was ranked as number 2 on Entertainment Weekly's 50 best high school movies ever.
How many have there been?
Lots of them.
Yeah.
There's like 100 of
What's number one?
them. I didn't see that. I don't know if it was To Sir with Love, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. The bus that the Stoners rolled out of, world famous bus, is now owned by Robert Skinner, who operates Skinner's Classic VW Restorations in California. Mr. Skinner welcomes visitors to stop by and have their picture taken with the bus. Damone's line, if this girl can't smell your school qualifications, then who needs her, is based on the advice Cameron Crowe got on picking up girls from Glenn Fry of the Eagles. According to Jennifer Jason Leigh, her sex scene was the first time she'd ever been naked with a man.
Really?
Yeah.
19.
She was 19. During a July 2008 interview with the Orange County Register about the movie Pineapple Express, the interviewer told Seth Rogen and James Franco that he prepared for the interview by watching Fast Times at Ridgemont High the night before. Cameron Crowe's parents wanted to visit the set. The only day that was available was when they were shooting the scene in Spicoli's bedroom with Mr. Han. The problem was that Sean Penn, by the way, Sean Penn stayed in character. He wanted everyone to call him Spicoli. He stayed in character even when they weren't shooting. He wanted to totally get the role. But he didn't like having non-essential crew members on the set during his scene. Crowe brought them in anyway and kept them well out of his eyesight. after the scene was finished, Sean Penn approached Crow and said, "Somebody's here, right?" Crow said, "Yes," but he said, "But you couldn't see them. I had them over there." He goes, "I felt them."
And then he said one thing.
Yes, go ahead.
Duffy, so Duffy, the best part of the pizza scene is when he calls Mr. Hand a dick. Every kid wants to call, everyone had a Mr. Hand teacher. See, like, I used to, in high school, the teacher would walk in and he'd have silence on top of the thing. This is my classroom and this is my 45 minutes. And that's Mr. Hand, you know. And but Coley called him a dick, and it was the greatest thing that he called him a dick.
Oh, he
And
did.
called him a dick.
Really said it too.
Dick, when he ripped up his.
Right, yeah,
that's
right, his tats,
But
right.
pizza.
Right.
All right, so there were other actors considered for Brad. Judge Reinhold was nowhere near first. Matthew Broderick turned it down because his father had become terminally ill. Tom Hanks was considered for the role. 2 years later, he was cast in another raunchy comedy, Bachelor Party. The Spicoli dream scene where he wins the surfing award, he was supposed to be on The Tonight Show. Johnny Carson decided to pass on it. They offered it to Tom Snyder. And they said, the director said, "I talked to him on the day he was leaving the Tomorrow Show, and he was depressed and said, 'I'm going to go get drunk now, but thanks for thinking of it.'" Letterman, they offered it to Letterman. Letterman wanted to do it, but his agent said, "No way, not with the drugs in the movie, no way, no way." So we would let him do it. Jodie Foster was considered to play Stacy, but was starting she just started at Yale, so she couldn't do it. And I did see her at Yale when we saw each other at an REM concert.
And when was Risky Business? You're talking about
That was later 80s.
later 80s?
Yeah. Diane Lane auditioned for the role of Stacy. Ralph Macchio was asked for a role, but he demanded a salary the director couldn't afford.
What kind of salary did they get?
They were getting scale. They were just getting scale, all the kids. Yeah.
Risky Business was 83. What about it?
Nicolas Cage's character is billed as Brad's Bud, but his character's actual name was Dave. And there was the scene where Brad tells his girlfriend that he got Arnold and Dave their jobs. Cameron Crowe got in a little bit of trouble when Phoebe Cates asked him how the pool scene went, and he said people were saying she was great for a mom. Her face fell, and she didn't talk to him for a while. He apologized on his choice of words and corrected himself, saying she was great as an actor. Yeah, there was actually a TV spinoff, TV series, Fast Times, but it did not last. Oh, this is the one I wanted to get you guys. Do you remember the doctor who was the actual doctor in the cadaver scene?
Yeah.
Shorter guy who was chewing gum, the doctor. That was Martin Brest. Amy Heckerland said he was my ex-boyfriend. But he actually was seen as a doctor there in the field trip, but he ended up directing Judge Reinhold in the Beverly Hills Cop movie. Martin Brest was the director. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I want to ask one thing. So 82, the fact that they dealt with abortion as so matter of fact,
Right.
that, I mean, you couldn't do that now.
Well, you could go to the free clinic, except
Yeah.
doesn't
you
sound
could
free to
do
me
it.
when it's
And
$100 an
Oh,
hour.
it was amazing. It was just, oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, a lot of girls in my sorority, they just went to the health center and they had abortions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, in the 70s, absolutely. I graduated from college in 78. It was not a big thing, not a big deal at all.
Unless you were 16 and under.
Right.
Right, but you know, they wouldn't have been in college,
Right.
but, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm going to stop it. We're a little over on time.
What's the next film?
That's a good question. I have a couple notes. I have, yeah, okay. There's a couple that, there's three of them are all on Netflix, so easy for everyone. Has anyone seen A House of Dynamite yet? No.
Oh, yeah, it's the Garfield.
No.
No,
That was,
that's a TV series, but I know what you're thinking. It's about a nuclear attack in America.
nice, another concept.
Yeah.
It's not a comedy. So that's one possibility. being mentioned as one of the best movies. The ending is very discussion worthy. It doesn't have an easy ending. Jay Kelly, anyone seen that yet? I just posted my review of it. It's the one with George Clooney and Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
It got really good reviews overall. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other one is, I haven't seen it yet, but I love the description, Nouvelle Vague. It's about the making of the movie Breathless in the 60s, the original.
George Clooney.
Yeah.
All right, Adam Sandler, by the way, is phenomenal. Couldn't believe it. He's terrific.
Yeah.
That's Jay Kelly.
Okay, Jay Kelly it is.
When do we meet?
You had
January?
the vote?
January. I think it's the 22nd. Probably January 22nd.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I hope you have a better appreciation even if you didn't like it.
I feel like I should see that.
I gotta tell you, when I watched it again, I couldn't believe how tight it was in the sense that every scene moved real quick. In an hour and a half, there's so much that happens.
I think I need to watch it again after this discussion, maybe have better. Maybe I'll record.
Nice job, Ed.
Thank you.
Well.